Joe Chats on Tap Sportsnet. Thanks as always for the time, Greg. Just with the implications of this match, knowing how intense it was going to be, how frustrated were you by conceding that way and that early?
You know, I think it's a great learning experience for the group, honestly. You can see that we were shell-shocked after giving up the goal in the first minute. And we had to find a way to claw back, and that's the most important thing. At halftime, I asked the guys, do you have more in you? And they all said yes. And that's really what it was about for us, you know, understanding that in the playoffs, if you gift a goal like that, it's going to be tough sailing. So for us, good learning experience, really proud of the guys, their effort and their fight in the second half especially. And now we have a home playoff game against Orlando.
Alex?
Coach, knowing that Orlando were throttled in their game and you had the opportunity to go to 7th, is there a bit of frustration that you do have to settle for a wild card game, even if it is at home?
You know, that's looking backwards, and that's something we can't do right now. I could point to the Toronto game and say we should have gotten 3 points out of that game. You know, you can go back to the DC game. You know, we could look back all we want, right? But there's no use in that. It's really about what's ahead of us and really getting the guys recovered and getting them prepared for Orlando.
Hey, Coach. So the last 2 games, defensively, you started with a back 5, and then at around half, you switched to 4. Is there one that you might lean towards now going into the postseason? You
know, the thing is, we got behind in the game, and you know, if you want to be very preventative shape and you're behind, it doesn't help you that much. So we needed to be more aggressive in the second half. Therefore, we had to change formation. What I think is that we have options now. And that's the good thing. You know, the whole idea of you know, the end of the season was to give ourselves formation options in our formation, and we have that.
Greg, again, Justin comes off the bench, and it leads to 2 more goals. There's the conceding goal, but just his progress over these last couple weeks as he's contributed to getting this team some points.
You know, he's an attacking fullback. You know, at the time we needed to be aggressive, and we needed to put him in, and I think he did a good job. You know, we talked to him about getting forward, and he did that. And, you know, overall he just competed, and, you know, he has the ability. He really does, and it's just about how does he put it all together.
I'm going to take some from Zoom, and then we'll go back to in the room. Tim Hotsey?
Hey, Greg, thanks for the time. How important was it to get a victory like this in sort of like a playoff-like fashion? Just like
we didn't get a victory. We did not.
Oh, sorry. No, getting a point. Sorry, in a method like this that felt, you know, where the team rallied after kind of a disappointing slower start.
You know, I could look at it many different ways, but I think the biggest thing we're taking away is learning about the start of the game and what these games need to look like. And so I think it's going to help us moving forward. You know, you can't spot the opponent a goal and expect to be able to do that every time, come back every time. So, you know, pleased with the tenacity and the resilience in the second half, but, you know, not pleased with the first half and the start of the game.
We'll go to Jim Alexander.
Hey, Coach. Like you mentioned, there's things to take away and learning lessons. Last 2 games that were still important to play and getting 2 points out of them. How do you prevent slow starts in this next game that it's do or die in a sense, and make sure those sort of mistakes and maybe the lackadaisical starts are corrected for this big game in such a quick turnaround too?
Yeah, you know, you hope that all these experiences that we've had over the last, you know, weeks and maybe even months have hardened us and have shaped us and have really, you know, helped the learning to continue. And that's all it's about. You know, it's an inexperienced group in the playoffs, and we're going to have to experience it for the first time. You know, we're looking forward to it. We know all the teams that have made the playoffs are difficult teams, and you know, for us, it's about trying to get a good result at home in front of our fans.
Back to the room, Alex.
Coach, I just want to ask again about Zinkernagel,
Yeah.
because, you know, coming in with that moment, really dragging the team out of it at the end there with the way he scored that goal.
Yeah.
You know, 15 goals, 15 assists, statistically the best season in the team's history.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit more about what he's been in this regular season?
I mean, Phil has been a catalyst for our attack, and you see sometimes when we're struggling, he's struggling, and you know how Phil goes, the team usually goes, and you know we need him in the playoffs to be who he is, to continue the goal scoring form, and to be aggressive. I think that's what you see when he arrives at the top of the box, when he arrives in the penalty box. He has tons of quality.
How happy are you that you have Joel Waterman on your side at this point of the year? He seemed to really just almost bring a calm when the team needed it, or do the talking when the team needed it.
What I liked about Joel today was his competitiveness. That's contagious. The kid he competes on every play, and it goes a long way. And I think that the second half turnaround wasn't just because of the goals; it was because of the aggressiveness demonstrated by a lot of guys, but especially Joel.